Welcome to Lifting Leaders Podcast, where we are unleashing leader possibilities to make a better world. I'm Crystal Roberts, and together with Trisha Ryan, we're diving deeper into some of the complexities of the world's most critical challenges and exploring innovative ways of navigating through them.
Through interviews with experts and leaders just like you, we're exploring what it takes to thrive as a leader today and examining new ways of thinking about how to creatively lead into a more equitable, socially responsible, and sustainable future. And the future starts now.
Hi, Trisha. How are you doing?
I'm doing great now. We just figured out how to use the computer.
Oh, it's been super fun because we went to, as our listeners know, we went to the Hudson conference and we took our recording equipment with us. And it's always an adventure when we come back and try and get it to work again. And
well, isn't it amazing? We did so well with it on the road, right?
Yeah.
We always do. It's like we can set it up. We have no problem. Everything works according to Hoyle. We bring it home. And nothing works.
Yeah, we wish we had Chance in our back pocket.
Yes, we do. Yes.
Well, we got it figured out. We're back with you. We're so happy to be here.
Oh my gosh, yes. And it's a beautiful day outside. Oh my goodness.
Oh, it's gorgeous. Isn't it gorgeous?
It now officially feels like spring to me. You know? I went out last week and I actually weeded after our last episode.
Yeah.
And I must tell you that I have at least 20 times more to go. I thought I got about 100. I have an entire yard full of weeds. I have no idea where they came from. They weren't there 3 weeks ago, but they're there now.
I think the question is, are they native?
Oh.
Are they native?
I just don't know if they actually attract birds, bees, and butterflies.
Yeah, well, maybe. You'll have to keep an eye on them. Maybe you want to leave them there.
I'll just leave a little patch, just a little patch as my experimental bird, bee, butterfly attracting weeds.
There you go.
We'll see where it goes.
And the cool thing is you and I both got all of our plants that we bought at Watson's with our person who helped us, Corey. Yeah, the expert on native plants. I'm super excited. I can't report back yet on if they have increased the birds and the butterflies and the bugs, but they look cool. Maybe I'll have to take a picture.
I have to officially report that I have seen a multitude of bees in my yard this week. And I don't know whether it's because my cherry tree is going to go crazy this year. I see gajillions of baby cherries on the tree. Or the fact that the apple trees were blossoming last week too. But they're all over the yard. And they're not just a bee, they're a bumblebee. You know, the black and yellow ones?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so excited.
They're so cute. They're so cute, all fuzzy. Yeah. And I even got my sign up. And
you did?
I'm taking all this credit, but I have to give credit to my husband. He did do the planting. I said, to the right a little bit, to the left a little bit, that he got the sign up too. And I've already got some questions about it. So that's kind of cool because then we can actually tell our story about why we are planting these plants.
Yes.
And we're trying to create this space that is native and is welcoming and attracts the birds and the bees.
I heard a bird singing in the backyard today, which it's been a while. And I think we talked about that, how the birds are kind of going away and stuff. But I knew something was going on because my cat Simon was going nuts. He kept going to the window, putting his paw in the window, walking away, coming back, putting his paw in the window. It's like something was there. And this bird was just going on and on and on in the backyard. And I love that. It's been a long time since I heard it. So I'm tempted. I don't like to do this because I know that it attracts other critters, but I may just fill the bird feeders again.
Yeah.
Give them back.
something to eat. Yeah. That's very cool. So making a little progress on our Earth Day project.
Yes.
Wanted to give an update on that. And then this weekend, actually when this drops, it'll actually be the day after, but this weekend is Mother's Day.
Yes, it is.
And that got us thinking about maybe doing a little bit of an ode to all the people, not just mothers of course, but all the people that we care for and that care for us.
Yes, it's so important. And I think that it's good for us to talk about this kind of stuff. You know, we go off on different topics, and sometimes we go on a roll for a while.
Yeah.
This one, I think we could use more attention. This is, after all, Mental Health Month.
Yeah.
And so it's really important for us to be thinking about caring, right?
Yeah.
Whether it's caring for others or caring for ourselves.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm glad we're doing this today.
Yeah, and we'll also weave in some thoughts about how that relates to leaders, both as we are showing up as leaders every day, but also in that formal role, and we are responsible for others in the organization.
Yes.
When we were prepping for this, you shared a beautiful story about what it was like to care for your mother.
Yeah, thanks. I grew up in a military family, and because we moved so much, all of us were our closest friends, right? We were completely tight. We moved every year, so that mattered. So when I became an adult, and my parents were older, right? Not terribly old, but probably younger than I am now. I don't know. I just decided that I could not ever let them go someplace to a facility. And for some people, that is absolutely what really is the best thing. But in my heart, as their youngest child, I could not even fathom that.
Yeah.
So when my dad had already passed, but when my mother started showing definite signs of dementia, the thought of her living in Southern California in a home where, as she lost more and more of her memory, she got a little more cautious of being around people. And I worried that she would be in a place where she didn't recognize the people, and her fear would, make her go away faster. And I just couldn't, I couldn't even think of that. So I moved her up to live with me. I gave her the choice, but I'm pretty compelling. Anyway, I gave her the choice to come live with me, and she said yes. And it was just the most beautiful relationship for the last 4 years of her life. She got to be in my home, and we put her furniture in the places where it made sense to put it. And I made it as much her home as mine while she was here. And I got a chance to just, be my mom's best friend. But I also was a caregiver, and that was a new thing for me because I don't have children. And it was a real learning curve, to be a parent to my parent. And while Mom and I were like pretty much in sync with each other for the first few years, I used to get absolutely aggravated when she'd ask me the same question 150 times in one day. Yeah. But once I got the hang of it, and I realized that that's what happens with people with dementia, I started concentrating on how to make her the most happy and be cared for the best I could, right?
Yeah.
But at some point, and you and I had a different podcast at this time. We were in 2020 during the pandemic, we were doing that, but it enabled me to be home with my mom because I was stuck at home. I was going, thank goodness we got sent home for the year because I was able to take care of her 24/7. But she passed away in 2020. Yeah. And it was kind of end of summer, and I had always been a pretty outgoing person, always out with friends, doing things, traveling a lot. I, was just my usual extrovert self, right?
Yeah.
But when she was gone, I felt like I had lost my purpose. And I had been putting everything into working from home, working with Mom from home, taking her to the doctors, doing all this stuff that I forgot to take care of myself.
Yeah.
And so when she was gone, I was lost. And I'm not the kind of person who does that well. So I'm grateful that I had you, Crystal, in my life because it was an odd time. I remember the day my mom died, you said, meet me at this grocery store parking lot. And I did. And we were both masked, and you gave me a hug.
Yeah.
And it was the first hug I had had without my mom's hug in months.
Yeah. And
so I needed that moment.
Yeah.
You kind of saved my life in that sense because I was really, my battery was completely drained and there was no reserve for me to heal.
Yeah.
So thank you forever for that. I will never, ever forget that moment. what it brought to mind as we were talking today was that I'm not the only one that went through that. There are a lot of people during the pandemic who went through that.
Yeah.
They went from working in an office to working from home, and maybe they had a parent to take care of, or maybe they had a parent and children to take care of.
Yeah.
And maybe there was sickness or whatever there was many batteries being drained.
Yeah.
Without a lot of resources to rebuild them or to juice them back up. So, and that's one of the things that I thought was important for us to touch on today, because I know I've had time to recover from this. I've had time to heal, but I can remember what it feels like. And there are times when something will happen and it'll trigger a moment where I'll remember what I felt like when I wasn't doing well.
Yeah.
And for a moment I'll stop and I start thinking I could go there again very easily if I don't watch it.
Yeah.
So and I know that you had similar issues because you were at home too, and your son was a senior in high school, and it was difficult for him being away from his friends and stuff. I'm sure that must have been just horrible to see that and still have to move forward, right?
Yeah. I think the pandemic, it was so difficult for so many people. Mm-hmm. But I think what you did for your mom, and even, so it was extraordinary circumstances with COVID, but you welcomed her into your house even before COVID. And when you care for somebody like that, it's such a gift. Mm. And so when we think about celebrating Mother's Day, I like to think of it as also celebrating those people who care for others.
Yes.
And it could be your example, what you were talking about, as somebody caring for their own mother. Mm-hmm. Like, what a gift to be able to sort of turn that around and give it back to your mom. It's such a lovely story. I love that. I was thinking about a story that I could tell about caring for others. And I also it was my husband's aunt that we were responsible for. And so we had many opportunities. We didn't bring her into our house to live with us, but we were the primary caregivers outside of that. Mm-hmm. And so those were times that I really cherished, that we had. I saw it as a gift as well, to be able to provide that support to her.
Yes.
Really out throughout her whole life. We were part of that network or support that she could get, both when she was doing well. We would go over and we would always help her put her garden in. We would help her in the fall to get stuff ready for the winter. And it was a ritual of ours to help her sort of make these transitions of the seasons. And then, of course, as she got older and later in her life, we also cared for her then too. And of course, she benefited from our care. But in that caring, I feel like we got even more back than what we gave to her.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And then, of course, I'm a mom. I'm a mom of 3. And so I've spent a lot of years and still, of course, care for my children, even though they are adults now, but care for them in a different way. But that was such a gift as well, to be a mom of 3 amazing kids. And yeah, it's hard. And it's also incredibly rewarding.
Yeah.
And it's so lovely to see where they are now, doing amazing things. And
they really are.
Yeah. And that love and having that family is amazing.
You said something about how you and your husband took care of his aunt. And that's just as much of a drain sometimes. I mean, it may be a gift. It's a gift on both sides, by the way.
Yeah.
For me, for my mom, it was a gift to me every day. It just kind of felt that way. So it was definitely a two-sided coin there, right? But both with the head.
Yeah.
But on same thing with you. When you think about it,
yeah.
She may not have lived with you, but it was a responsibility and you took it open-heartedly, right?
Yeah.
And that is such a gift for the person who's receiving that, but it's also a gift for you that you got a chance to be with her at that time in her life.
Yeah.
There's something weird about, it's not weird, but kind of feels weird to say it, about being with somebody near the end of their life.
Yeah.
Because you don't want anybody to be alone, right? Nobody does. But during that time, it was kind of an unreal time. There were a lot of people who were alone, and that was probably the saddest year I can ever remember. But the cool thing was that, being able to be close to my mom right up to her last minutes. And you were close to your husband's the same way. I mean, it's like this is something that is cyclical. It's a part of life. It's that circle of life thing or whatever you want to call it. But it's something that I think more of the more recent generations may not have had much experience with. Yeah. I know when my parents were young, they said that everybody in their family, they would take care of them up until their death, right? Yeah. That was like the norm. But my generation, not so much, but we're doing it now, right? Mm-hmm. And then younger generations, thankfully, hopefully, don't have to do that much right now because their parents are younger. But it's something to think about, right?
I think one of the things that we were talking about when you care for other people, it builds your compassion.
Yes.
And it's such a critical skill for leaders to have compassion. Mm-hmm. And you don't have to go through the depth of the experiences that we were talking about in order to build that compassion. No. But any time that you give care to others, it helps shift your perspective a little bit and helps you deepen sort of that awareness about sometimes how fortunate you are, how much gratitude you have for the things that you have, and also for those relationships that nourish you.
I love that. And I also call it empathy too. It's like standing in the place or standing in the shoes of somebody who's gone through something or is going through something without owning it. Right. Yeah. And, as leaders, I think it's important to be able to have a heart touch with the people who are around you. Yeah. Whether you are leading in church or at school or in your community in some way or in your family, having a heart touch with someone requires sometimes being vulnerable to, letting people know. But you can stand with someone and you can help hold them up, right? Without owning their issue. And it's so important because we all go through something traumatic in our lives at some time. Yeah. And sometimes we don't always know where our biggest help will be until it appears, right? Yeah. Me with you. You actually helped me tremendously in that very first day my mom died. That I didn't expect. Yeah. But what a gift. It was the biggest gift. And so that happens at work too. It happens in our community that sometimes the person you least think you're going to need to talk to at the moment is the person you need more than anything. Yeah. And so as leaders, to be there, if someone else needs you, they're going to allow you to let them lean, right? Yeah.
And I think that story is so powerful because it isn't a huge act, right? It was because we couldn't meet in a restaurant. We couldn't meet. We're in the middle of COVID. We met in the parking lot of a grocery store.
I know.
And we were safe. We put our masks on, but just a hug. Mm-hmm. Just a hug. And what did that cost me? Nothing. Just to be there and be with you for a few minutes.
But it was priceless.
In that moment. Yeah.
But it was priceless.
And so we never know. In this case, I'm fortunate to get to hear the story and know the impact. But a lot of times as a leader, you don't know. Mm-mm. The fact that you stopped by and asked somebody, how's your day? Or listened to them as they talked about what it is for them when they're having to provide care to their parents, or how difficult it is when you've got, 4 kids at home and you're trying to run them all around all their activities, just pausing and being an ear for that person's story can mean everything to them.
And you just said something, that it doesn't really cost anything, but what it can do is it can actually reduce your battery in a sense. Yeah. When you do good for others, and it's not a huge lift. Yeah. When you're done, it's not always what's in it for me, but you do need to do that. You need to look at what's in it for me sometimes because we tend to forget that. Yeah. I told you, I thought I'd lost my sense of purpose, right? Because my mom wasn't around anymore. So what was I going to do now, right? Yeah. I still had a job, but I kind of felt empty. There was this big space.
Sure.
Well, when you're a leader and you offer support to someone who is in need, and if they take you up on it, how much did it cost you to do that? But how much reward are you getting for it? Because you can feel better about yourself.
Yeah.
You can know that you did the right thing for someone.
Yeah.
And that alone sometimes is all you need to know, that, you were in the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
And thank God, right? It's just really important to remember that those are those acts of kindness, those random acts of kindness, or those beautiful moments when you can make a life difference for someone.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah. You can show that caring. I think about you always when we talk about this. You can show that caring in a moment. You can care for somebody, the person serving your coffee.
Yes.
And really make their day just by connecting with them and listening to them and smiling at them.
We had a moment at the hotel when we were at the hotel. I'm talking about the water bottles at the front desk.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, and
this is back at the Hudson conference.
Yes. There was this young lady at the reception desk, and she was just like so kind of cute and very not as animated as I would expect for somebody who looked like she was about ready to be very animated. She had, very interesting makeup on, and her hair was done in a really amazingly cute and different way. And she looked like a singer that I like. And I just looked at her, and in my heart, I thought she had to be somehow connected to that. And so I asked her she was just acting like she was not really engaged at all. And I thought
No, she was nasty.
Okay.
Sorry. She was not very nice to us. She was not nice.
So I asked her who her favorite singer was. And she said,
she shot back daggers.
Yeah, she kind of did.
She did.
And she said, "You'll never know. You'll never have you don't have an idea. You'll never be able to guess who my favorite singer is." And I just said, "Well, I just wonder, have you ever heard of Chapel Roan?" And she melted. She totally melted. Her eyes went up in her head, and she went, "Oh, I love Chapel Roan. Oh my gosh, my mom and dad turned me on to her." And I was going, "Oh my goodness." Okay, so from that moment on, we were besties.
Yeah, yeah.
On our last day when we were trying to get our bags, we were trying to get somebody to check our bags into a space so that we could go wander. I just walked up to her and I just said, "Hi, Chapel." And she just right on. She was like totally on it. But that's all it takes sometimes, right? When you see somebody who's like being nasty, sometimes they're being nasty for a reason.
Yeah.
They're upset about something, or something is not going in their direction.
Yeah.
And all you have to do is just like touch them for a minute, right?
Yeah.
So.
And that's a form of care, right? That's a form of care.
And it didn't cost me a thing.
You.
It kind of actually gave me something because it was a fun interaction,
Yeah,
so.
It was fun to watch, actually. It was fun to watch to see this person who was in such a terrible mood all of a sudden become animated and passionate and excited. And it was really fun. Yeah.
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 Well, so what is it? Have you ever had a situation where you needed somebody to care for you?
Never. I am a one-person show.
I bet, really.
That's right. I'm in total control. I do not need any help.
Of course you don't. Mm-hmm.
No help.
Yeah.
No, ever.
Heard that before.
That's how I come across sometimes. I know. It's like, got it all together. Don't bother. I don't need help.
How interesting.
Yes.
How's it feel to be that indestructible?
Yeah. Lonely, right? It's lonely, right? When we can accept help, when we can accept care from others, it can just completely change our world. Mm-hmm. And it can feel really vulnerable. And it can build relationships to say, yes, thank you. This is what I need. It really understanding what do I need and be in touch with that takes a little bit of time. It takes some reflection.
Courage.
And courage to ask for it and to accept it. But it's important. It's important in a relationship. Yeah.
We had a moment like that last year. I got scammed, and I was like all over the place trying to deny the issue. And you made it uncomfortable for me, but in the best way. And I didn't want to accept help because I felt like that was showing a weakness that I didn't want to show anybody, especially not my best friend. And it was the wrong thinking, absolutely wrong thinking. But it was so uncomfortable to finally give into that. But I did, finally. It took probably hitting me on the head with a hammer a few times, but it worked. But afterwards, it felt like all of the weight that I'd been carrying for months was gone, or at least most of it was gone.
Yeah.
Right? And I think it made a huge difference for our relationship as friends.
Yeah.
I would not have been able to handle it if I hadn't taken that help. But it reminded me of something that when I was going through a coaching program, we had to have our own coaches.
Yeah.
And I had this amazing coach who I was struggling with my mom and the Hudson program and work all at the same time. And it was just a little overwhelming. And he asked me, has anybody offered to help you with anything? I go, oh yeah, they ask all the time, but I was raised in the military and I was told that, we should always do our own thing and, we have to rely on ourselves and, just buckle down and do it. And he said, well, how does it feel to be so selfish? And
wow,
nobody had ever asked me a question like that in my life. And I didn't even get it at first. I was thinking like, selfish? I'm trying to help them out by not bringing them into my problem.
Yeah.
But what he was saying was that people don't ask you if you want help unless they really want to give it. And when you tell them that you don't need their help, you're telling them that you don't value what they bring and potentially.
Yeah.
And I almost lost it. It never really occurred to me that that was the way it was. But I've tried to take a different attitude about taking care since then. It's funny how, like I was telling you about when you and I were doing this last year, my battery was completely drained and I couldn't figure out how to rejuice it. And it was because I was under so much stress. And so I started realizing that it was this sharing with you what was going on that actually was allowing me the space to start healing. And that's reducing the battery. So, and that's what happens, when we take it all on ourselves, when leaders take on everything and they don't want to even give up any of their work because they're afraid that it's easier if I just do it myself. It'll get it done faster, right?
Yeah.
But the rest of the world is still on your shoulders. Yeah. It's hard to do by not delegating or not giving other people the opportunity to help you. You're telling them they're not valuable, possibly.
Yeah.
But you're also not doing yourself any good. Right?
Yeah.
It's just awful.
Yeah. I totally agree. For me, it is a daily intention. It's still hard. Mm-hmm. I have examples when gone through traumatic things, like when I almost died having chance and things like that, where I didn't have a choice. I was completely incapacitated. I had to have help. There was no choice. That's a little easier when you just can't do it, and so somebody else has got to do it.
Right.
But when you have a choice, I think about maybe smaller things, like at the end of a facilitation, and people say, "Hey, can we help you? Pull the stuff off the walls, or gather up the pens, or and." In my past, I think I would have said, no, I've got it all. Mm-hmm. And now I say, yes, thank you. And when people come over for dinner and they say, can I bring something? And I used to say, oh, no, I got it all.
Yep.
And now I say, no, can you bring a salad? And it's simple things, but it makes such a difference for me. It's one less thing I have to do. But also for them, they feel a part of it and they feel joy in being able to do it. But I notice it's still, after years and years, it's not natural. Like I have to think about it, and I have to, like, it's a click in my brain. It's like, yes, I'm telling myself, it's the voice. It's like, no, you got it. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, I want the help.
Yeah.
I need the help. And to be able to invite it in.
It makes me wonder. That's lovely. And in fact, I really love the example of people helping you after facilitating something.
Yeah.
Because they don't realize how long you're going to stick around afterwards trying to clean up that, right? So it's really nice that you're able to bring them into that too, because it really only takes a few minutes when everybody gets together,
that's right? Yeah.
But what is it that we learn in our childhoods that makes it so important for us to own it and not let others help us? There are communities of people who willingly and without even speaking help each other. I think about when I lived on the East Coast, the Amish people. There are a lot of Amish people who live in Pennsylvania, and I lived in Maryland. But where I lived in Maryland, I was only 20 minutes from the border, and I spent a lot of time in southern Pennsylvania, which is very high population of Amish people, and they just tuck in and help. They don't really, there's not a lot of, oh no, I've got it. There's none of that posturing at all. Yeah. It is just, you just come in and you help.
Yeah.
And you think, okay, so they learned that from part of their values, right? So what is it in our values that makes us want to hold on and not share and not be vulnerable?
Yeah.
I mean, what are we afraid is going to happen?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's things like you think, oh, I'm showing weakness or lack of independence, or maybe I can't actually do it all.
Right.
But no, we know that that's just, it's not the way to go.
Well, and that makes me wonder, as we're thinking about the next stage of this, which is taking care of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
What's wrong with putting a line down the middle of the page and on one side, and at the top putting a question? What's the worst thing that'll happen to me if I let somebody else help me?
Yeah.
And then on one side, the worst thing, and then the best thing. The worst and the best. So what's the best thing that could, no, just the worst things, because you can always think of the worst things first, right?
Yeah.
So make that list and see how long it gets. You could make it up and you'll find yourself making excuse after excuse, because then when you go to what's the best thing that could happen?
Yeah.
Is that I might be able to finish something faster, or I might save money, or I might build a deeper friendship, or I mean, there are so many things that are.
I might not be exhausted at the end of the event.
Yes.
Yeah. I might actually enjoy myself.
Yeah.
And really, that's what everybody wants, right?
Yeah.
They don't want mom to be all, exhausted throughout the whole event and then crabby at the end. They want happy mom. They want to talk and engage and have fun. Yeah.
So it's about, then what do we do for ourselves, right? How do we take care of ourselves? And moms take care of themselves not often. They take care of everybody else, right?
Yeah.
So moms, please think about, what is it that would make your moment feel less heavy? What is something that you could do that would make you feel like you were proud of yourself for doing it? What is something you could do that would make you feel calmer or less tired or just satisfied?
Yeah.
It's not that hard in a way. I mean, there are things that you can do, like, go take a bubble bath. I know that nobody does that anymore, but, go take a bath, right? Or take a shower, or take a walk, or, get in your car and go to your favorite place and watch the sunset. But more importantly, do things like, eat a balanced diet.
Yeah.
And take vitamins or supplements if you need, if that's something that you feel is important. Make sure that if you want to buy something like a new dress or a new top or a new, pair of shoes or something, find a way to do that.
Yeah.
And then think about why you bought them, because you wanted to feel good about yourself, right?
Yeah.
But also remember that while you're doing that, and as leaders too, it's like while you're doing that, think about what that's doing for everybody else. Because as you're feeling better, they can see that. And I know when my mom felt great, it always made me happier to know that she was okay.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah. And I think this goes for leaders as well. When we show people that we can take care of ourselves, like going on vacation and leaving our phone behind.
Oh my. Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
Those sort of things, it gives permission to everybody else to do that as well.
I call that being a point of reference.
Yeah.
So, if that's an excellent example, and yes, I'm making a judgment call here. It is an excellent example. Going on vacation and leaving your cell phone and your laptop and any other device that could potentially connect you with your work is a great idea. Another idea for that is to find ways in the first 3 days of your vacation to actually leave work behind, because most people don't. They go on vacation and they have to download work for a couple of days before they actually get to get in and enjoy their vacation, right? And so find something, plan activities that are really keep you busy and engaged in the first few days of your vacation.
Yeah, it's
and
a great idea.
You will find at the end of your vacation that you're almost exhausted from vacation because you've done all this stuff that was fun and different, or maybe engaging. And you may not get as much relaxation, but you are, because your battery's getting juiced up as long as you are enjoying yourself.
Yeah.
Right?
So juicing our batteries up, it's really important. Yeah. So making sure that when we get drained from all this caregiving for others, we have a really clear picture of what does it take to be our best caregiver for ourselves. Yeah.
A long, long time ago, I went to a therapist I was younger, and I just felt like there was something going on in my life that I wanted to be different, but I didn't know who to talk to about it. So a friend of mine said, go to a therapist. They'll help you. And she gave me 2 appointments. That was it. I went, okay, because I talked to her in the first appointment, and I was telling her I was just feeling like kind of out of sorts, and I don't know whether it's my age, or I don't know whether it's, this time of year. I'm not sure, but something just doesn't seem right. And she sent me home with a homework assignment to write down what my utopia would be. What would your perfect world be? And describe it. Describe colors and textures and, everything about it. What were there trees involved? Was there an ocean? Was there a lake? What kind of buildings were around you? Everything. She just said, write it. It doesn't have to make sense to anybody but you. Just write the whole thing out and really map out what would be the perfect world for you and why. And I did. I went home and I had an appointment with her the next week. And so I got to...
Sounds like a good coaching question too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's an excellent coaching question, because I sat down and it took me hours and hours and over a couple of days to write down my utopia. I could have probably published that thing and made it a book. It was really long, like several pages. And when I was done, I went to my next appointment, and she asked me to read it out loud, which was very embarrassing because I'd never done that with a stranger, number one. And that's my utopia I'm sharing with you, right?
Yeah.
But I did it anyway. And she just sat there with a smile on her face almost the whole time. And at the end of it, she asked me how I felt. And I said, I feel really good. I just needed to get it all out and map it out. And she said, do you think you could find your utopia in your real world? Because it was very different from what I was doing. Yeah. And I said, I probably could pull out snippets of it, in different parts of my day. And she said, then you are on your trip to your utopia. And I think we are done here. And that was the end of my experience with the therapist. But man, she was right. I mean, I found parts of my work that I loved that I kind of like washed over because I was feeling so drained that everything felt overwhelming. Yeah. But it was like love and work in play, right?
Yeah.
I was, Marcus Buckingham, we love you. It was just like I found those parts of my life in my work and in my home that I absolutely loved. And I picked up a few things that I'd forgotten that I liked doing.
Yeah.
And it was like fun. I had so much fun. The next 5 years were like I was riding higher than ever because I just kept that in mind.
Yeah.
And every time I would start to lose sight of it, I'd go back and read it. So it's just a thought, it's just one of those ways that you can sometimes regroup, you know, when you really need to, because we don't take care of ourselves very well.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. And that you don't have to have it all at once. No, that you can have snippets, as you said. You can have snippets throughout your day. We had another guest on who talked about pockets of peace.
Yeah.
And I loved that. It feels so much more attainable. Where are my pockets of peace? Yeah. So where can we recharge our batteries so that we can show up in ways that can help and care for others as people, as leaders, and also be resourced enough to be able to say, yes, thank you. I can accept that help and that gift that you're giving. Yeah.
Wow. How healthy. That sounds healthy.
Yeah. So happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
Celebrate the people around you who are, yes, mothers, but also all those people that are in your life that care for you and that you care for.
Happy Mother's Day.
Let's keep the conversation going.
Okay.
If you have questions or comments about the show, you can find us on all our social media channels at lifting_leaders. We have so many exceptional podcast episodes coming up with more fantastic guests. So be sure to subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcast or wherever you listen. If you know someone who would find this episode inspiring, share it with them, text them, email them, or take a screenshot and share it on your Instagram and tag us at lifting_leaders. If you'd like to know more about us, our guests, or the show, please go to our website at liftingleaderspodcast.com. You'll find our show notes there as well. If you're looking for help in developing your leaders or would like a growth opportunity yourself through leader coaching, please contact us through our website. Thank you to Ari Chance Roberts for his technical support of our show, though we solved it ourselves this time. We're so proud. Finally, please take 30 seconds and follow us. It helps you because you never miss an episode, and it helps us because you never miss an episode. To follow us, go to the Lifting Leaders podcast show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen. Then just tap the plus sign in the upper right-hand corner or click on follow. While you're there, if you'd be willing to give us a 5-star rating and review and share the episode with a friend, we'd be so grateful. It really does make a difference for our show. We appreciate it. Thank you, Trisha, for this great conversation.
Thanks, Crystal. I love this.
And many thanks to you, our listeners. We appreciate you. Find ways every day to lift each other up. Have a fantastic week.
Take care.